Jets fiasco, the one thing this Broncos team was trying to avoid this week, and they are not able to come up with the dub. 31-21, Broncos lose by 10 to Nathaniel Hackett and the New York Jets, and it's Nate Hackett who gets the last laugh, Big O.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this Broncos team went out there, and I remember Sean Payton talking about the worst coaching job. Well, I mean, are we sure about that? Because today was a bad coaching job on Sean Payton's behalf. And for me, I've watched the Broncos this year, 5 games in, and I truly believe that Sean Payton has been out-coached in every single game that I've watched this year.
Oh, man. It's gotten, we just hit the bottom point of my Broncos fandom, I think. This is the roughest moment of my we lost by 50 points, and this feels worse.
According to D-Line, this is worse than a 50-point loss to the Miami Dolphins. Thank you all so much for joining us after what we can all agree is just, I mean, I don't know if we want to call this heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, disgusting. Like,
Check.
I don't know exactly what the adjective is to describe what we just watched, but I think what was frustrating is the Broncos come out, they look good, they feel good, they're playing good. All of a sudden, we're like, okay, it's clear there's a ton of energy. This Broncos team is out here. They're going to play for their coach, Sean Payton, help him back up his comments from earlier this offseason. And then the wheels completely fall off, really starting in the second quarter. The second half was one of the worst offensive performances, and we'll get into some of these numbers and what we saw exactly. But, Big O, when you were watching this game, kind of take us through a little bit of the ebb and flow and how we felt so high at one point and then are all sitting here in what I would consider the lowest of lows for this Broncos team. And really, since that freaking Christmas Day game against the Rams.
Oh, my God.
This is the worst I've felt since then.
Yeah, well, you know, obviously the Broncos came out and they do really well with the scripted part of the game plan, right?
Yep,
I mean,
always.
those first 15 plays, everybody's jacked up, they're juiced up, they're flying around, playing great football, right? Broncos are able to go down there, Jaleel McLaughlin, explosive in the run game, explosive in the pass game, and they were able to find success. But then now, when you look at this football team and you start looking at the bad things happening, and now those ebbs and flows and the peaks and valleys that you continue, and you can't have as a football team. For me, I point back to just a lot of guys not doing their job. A lot of, hey, my fault, guys, I'll make it up the next time. Mike McGlinchey's the highest paid right tackle in the National Football League and went out there and got dogged. Just absolutely embarrassed out there.
Yeah.
You look at Garrett Bowles, you look at, Ben Powers, and what you are paying these guys, you have to find success. Each and every week, these guys' names are being called. And I know that Russell Wilson had a great day with his legs, minus the last fumble of the game. But at the end of the day, he was running for his life, and he's running for his life because this offensive line cannot protect for him.
Yeah, this has been a weird day, I think, is probably the best way to describe it. Just when you see the potential so early on in this game, like we saw this Broncos offense come out and, I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin, like ripping off a big run. I mean, showing the speed. Then we have the defensive side who are, forcing punts, holding them in the red zone to just field goals. I mean, doing the right things where it looks like, okay, as long as the offense can really do what they've been doing the past few weeks, and as long as Nathaniel Hackett's Jets keep doing what they've been doing the past few weeks, and Nathaniel Hackett's offenses in general scoring a little less than 16 points per game over the last year and 4 games, this team will be fine. But of course, they go ahead and have a 31-point day, and the Broncos defense can't seem to stop the run. Nothing is really clicking for this team, especially there after that first quarter.
What happened to this defense? Like, what do you think is the root cause of the decline of this defense? Are we looking at schematic issues? Because it's like largely the same personnel group from last year, which was in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they are routinely getting gouged. Breece Hall looked like he looked like the second coming of Walter Payton. Like
I think he is a top 5
he's
running back in
incredible,
this league no matter what.
But my God, like,
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's, Vance Joseph, and when he chooses to call zone versus man, he doesn't have a great feel for the game. But also, I think, you look at these players and they lack the instincts. Their keys are off, where they're looking at the eyes. Even Zach Wilson is having play action. And I watched a guy like Zach Allen, played a lot of football. He turns around and he's like, oh, does he have the ball? It's a run. It's a pass. You got guys out there not going through their keys, and they're just guessing. And when you're guessing, that's how the New York Jets come into your house and rush for 235 yards. And, it could have even been worse for the Broncos today on the ground if they really wanted it to be. They turned it into a throw fest at one point, but they're not doing anything special out there. And when you're guessing as a defense, you're going to get gouged and you're going to get embarrassed on national TV.
It's so wild because the game started off, like you say, the scripted portion, but even on the defensive side, the early parts of this game were so encouraging. Nick Bonito looked incredible. They were getting to Zach Wilson on every time that they were attempting to.
Yeah.
They were able to stuff the run, and then I don't know what happened. Like a switch flipped in the opposite direction, and then it was just like an unmitigated disaster. Like you didn't have any confidence in the offensive line, in the defensive line. Somehow the secondary is leaving guys wide open with the amount of talent that they have in that unit. Like, I don't know, man. This is like the most confusing Broncos season of my adult life.
Yeah, the lack of adjustments. There's two things that I would have done immediately in this football game. I'm going to big nickel. As soon as the Jets start getting going, I'm going to go put four down defensive linemen. I'm getting Drew Saunders in there. Hey, you're going to go in there with Josie Jewell. We're going to run basically a 4-3, and that's going to be our big nickel package to stop the run, to get after. And another thing, as far as when we're seeing Nick Bonito have such a great day, well, what happened in the second half? The Jets were able to run the ball, sustain drives, so now you're taking Nick Bonito out of the game. So what do? How do you combat that, Vance Joseph? It's very simple. Nick Bonito, come third down, you're playing on third down.
Yeah, I don't want to see Frank Clark out
you
there.
You can go out there on first down. We'll put you out there on first.
Yeah.
But third down, hey, 42, you need to be out there on the football field because you're generating pressure for this football team.
Why did they make that adjustment in the first place? Like when we see Nick Bonito playing like this new brand of Nick Bonito that we've been seeing all year, which is why Randy Gregory is now a San Francisco 49ers because of what we saw from Nick Bonito early in this game. Why did they make that adjustment? Why did we see Frank Clark on third down instead of a guy like Nick Bonito? What is the thought process there?
Well, what happened was the Jets were able to sustain drives. So
Nick's getting tired.
Nick's getting tired. You're trying to keep guys fresh, and you want to have a fresh pass rusher out there for the 8th play.
Which I know you think isn't fair for an offensive lineman. You don't want to see a new guy.
It's the worst thing in the world for an offensive lineman when you break the huddle and it's the 9th play, and then all of a sudden they just did a wholesale changes, and there's a bunch of fresh guys out there. But if you're Vance Joseph, this is something that you got to pick up on right away.
Yeah.
Right? It happens. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right?
Yeah,
so you have to be able to make an adjustment right there.
What is week 5? Fool me 5 times? Fool me for 70 points? What are we doing? I was convinced that we were shadow tanking. And then we confusingly won that game against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
And it threw all of my theories out the window. But now I'm back on it. Were we shadow tanking this game? Is it possible?
Hey,
I'm looking for something here. Tell me something good.
Hey, I have no idea what the Broncos are doing.
What are they doing?
But I look at a guy like Courtland Sutton, and maybe Courtland knows something. Maybe Courtland is feeling some chatter around the building and might think that he might have one foot out the door, might be getting traded because the lack of effort is unbelievable. And guess what? In football, I've been told this from the time I was a young boy. Effort requires no talent. You could go out there and not have success. You could go out there and, the guy in front of you could just be better than you. But the effort aspect, that requires no talent. And for you to be getting paid as much money as you're getting paid, and for you to be jogging out the line of scrimmage, that makes absolutely no sense. And guess what? Sean Payton is not making the change.
Yeah.
He's not saying, hey, we're going to get more of Brandon Johnson. We're going to get more of Marvin Mims Jr. So maybe it's
Maybe.
Maybe.
Too many things are stacking up. Like I feel like I'm like deep in an internet wormhole at a certain point. I'm checking the melting temperature of iron. It's like what are we doing? There's so many things that don't make sense.
Maybe you need a little AG1.
That's the only thing that makes sense. You know what I
It's
mean?
the only thing that makes sense to me right now.
I'll tell you what, I started today the AG1 way. I woke up, I wasn't feeling my best. I felt like maybe the Denver Broncos defense in the second half. And what I did is I immediately combated that feeling by getting 8 ounces of cold water, putting a package of AG1 in it, mixing it up. Mix it up. Have you tried the AG1?
It's fantastic.
Are you an AG1 guy? Have you had the AG1?
Never had it yet.
AG1, the most impressive thing about AG1, not only the benefits, which are numerous and hard to go into, it's the finest powder I've ever come across. It mixes into water in a way that's
true.
like I've never I spent my entire life stirring Kool-Aid for like 15 minutes, and not like the sugar would never fully dissolve.
You would just drink the sugar granules.
I mean, I only wanted the sugar anyway.
That's the whole point,
It didn't
right?
really matter. But the point is, AG1, it like vaporizes. It just goes immediately into
it's
the
great.
water. It is fantastic. AG1, let's see here. I'll tell you the actual benefits here.
They're on there.
Well,
somewhere.
how many vitamins are in here? I can't find
There's
it.
a lot.
There's a lot. It's
There's
a
a lot.
fantastic supplement.
75
high quality ingredients. Listen, start your day every day, drink AG1. If you go to drinkag1.com/Broncos, that's ag1.com/Broncos, check it out. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Dude, I'm telling you, like, I started drinking it and then I noticed my fingernails got unreasonably shiny.
Oh.
Unreasonably shiny.
For all the women listening, I feel like shiny fingernails means like
Yes.
longer, stronger, shiny hair.
Yes.
This could all work. Okay, I
Yes.
love this. AG1, baby.
AG1.
Let's do it. Also, if you need to consume something to make yourself feel better, I highly recommend Primo Hoagies. I cannot believe they are in Colorado. This is the most exciting thing. These are like OG hoagies.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, like when you bring this up to people like James Palmer, he is a Philly
Jimmy
guy.
Palmtrees, sure.
Jimmy Palmtrees, he's from Philly.
Yeah.
He is the biggest Primo Hoagies fan because he's like, dude, these are like the real deal.
Yeah, they are.
Which is hard to find a real deal hoagie here in the good state of Colorado. But now it's super easy. They have locations in both Denver and Centennial. You can order your party trays in advance for the next Broncos game. If for some reason you guys all want to get together and watch this,
Dude,
I highly recommend Primo Hoagies.
no better way to eat your feelings.
Then I know.
The Primo Hoagie way.
The Primo Hoagie way. I love it. It is not just a hoagie. It is a Primo. Order online at primohoagies.com. I'll probably be doing that after this because I need a hoagie to make myself.
I need a hoagie too. I didn't really think about it.
I
but
didn't know
need
that I crave hoagies.
I need a hoagie. Yeah, here. Get us hoagies.
Hoagies now.
I don't
go
get paid
right
enough
now.
to get hoagie runs.
primohoagies.com. Order us some, please. I want to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, so we could just be a little bit more specific as we're talking about this game. And of course, I want to start with the ugly because I know the good will just piss everyone off, and then we'll lose all of our peeps. So let's just stick with the ugly here at the beginning.
Yeah, we gotta
and
let
I'm
out
with
the
Freddie here.
negative
Like
first.
we are the laughing stock of the league right now when you lose to the Jets and really kind of squeak one out-ish.
You called them out.
Against the Bears?
You called the Jets out.
Called them out.
The whole entire season. Worst coaching job last year.
Out there winning the offseason.
Winning the offseason. You're going to be really pissed off if this football team's is not a playoff team. This is
Yeah, there's
it
just been
is
a lot
bad
of talk.
right now.
Is
man.
that the ugly? Maybe?
That's
is that
a part
like
of it.
the number one most ugly thing thinking about this game is just everything that was said leading up to it and the inability to back it up?
Yes, because now, to me, I will not tune into the Broncos next week football game unless there is a change. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. Right, if I'm listening to Sean Payton, right, this coach has had success. They've won Super Bowls, all these different things. For me now, who is the problem? You better point it out because you just lost to the New York Jets. And guess what? It wasn't Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position. They just hung 31 on you. What would that have looked like if Aaron Rodgers was at quarterback, right? Zach Wilson went out there and absolutely was cool, calm, and collective, build upon what he did last week.
Yeah.
And he took it to this Denver Broncos football team. The whole last 10 minutes of the game, I had to spend it watching the cameraman just panned on Nathaniel Hackett, and everybody congratulated
Billy
Nathaniel
Turner
Hackett.
giving him a hug.
This coach wasn't here for 50 after 15 games last year. The Broncos owner said bye-bye. So if I'm the Walton Penner Group, I'm looking at Sean Payton, and you better have some answers for me right now.
So let's play blame game. We're early. I'm playing blame
I'm
game.
ready for it.
But
I'm
I
built
like
for
it.
blame
It's
game.
early.
Just
You are.
FYI.
I know. Well, D-line is built for the blame game.
You know what the worst part about? So normally I'm on the basketball show.
Yeah.
The worst part about doing a football show is that everyone's mad at the D-line, and then I just keep reading D-line, and then I internalize it, and then I realize they're actually talking about.
It's not you. It's them.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay, cool.
So let's play blame game a little early. I was going to wait until third segment for this, but we'll get into the ugly specifically. But who is to blame for this loss? Is it Sean Payton? Is it Vance Joseph?
This week feels like you went to the club with your friend that talks too much. And now you turn around and he's in a fight, and you're like, I have to stick up for Sean Payton. He's our all right.
He's our guy.
Yeah. We're in his fight now.
Yeah.
We didn't say that. The worst part is that Sean Payton didn't say those comments publicly. It was in a private conversation that got publicized.
Well, the Jarrett Bell thing was pretty public in the sense
But I
that
will say-
he knew he was on the record.
But I will say,
Can I say this first before we get started?
Please.
I'm going to be really pissed off if this is not a playoff team. To me, that's public. If that's why you're leading off, that some of this is getting out.
You're right. Listen, you're not wrong. You're not. But specifically about the Nathaniel Hackett stuff, the reason that this specific game feels so goddamn bad is because he called out Hackett for the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL, which I actually still think is true. He was horrific last year. We had the entire stadium in unison counting down because we kept having
First home game.
Yeah.
That was the first home game as well.
Right. Yeah. So, but now Nathaniel Hackett looks like he was a genius and he was right this whole time. When he was terrible, this is the worst part about this loss is that it somehow exalts Nathaniel Hackett to a level that he does not deserve. Mm-hmm. But we here in Broncos country just keep getting punched over and over because
I know.
We just keep getting punched. I don't want to get punched anymore.
Blame game.
Yeah. So for me, I gotta go Sean Payton. I'm gonna kill you with truth. I'm gonna tell the truth about this whole entire situation because I felt the Jets was able to exploit every one of the Denver Broncos' weaknesses today. They knew exactly what to do to Mike McGlinchey in order to expose him. They knew what to do to this offensive line to expose this offensive line. They knew what to do to these wide receivers. These wide receivers were non-existent the whole entire game. These pass catchers were non-existent. You take away the production, the couple screens to the running backs, and what does that passing day look like? It looks tragic for the Broncos. And that's just on one side of the football. Now you go to the other side, special teams really quick. Marvin Mims drops the ball and puts it on the ground, right? You look at that and, we're going to run up and down and through this defense all day, every day, right? So for me, when a team comes in and they're able to exploit all of your weaknesses, it starts at the top, and that's with the head coach, and that's Sean Payton.
We really did just go through the entire litany of the Broncos. So I guess it has to be Sean Payton from that point. For me, somebody take away Jerry Jeudy's phone, by the way. The wide receivers were... The amount of time that Russell Wilson had to hold the ball looking for a single wideout to get open.
Yeah.
This is 2 weeks in a row.
I hear you barking, big dog.
This is 2 weeks in a row. I don't understand what's happening to our wide receiving core.
We're going to get to that. I think so.
This is my portion of the blame game.
Yeah.
I'm officially assigning blame to the wide receiving core.
Gosh, I don't know if we could
put it on... And the defensive line.
I don't know if we could put on one specific position.
The running backs and also...
I will say it is ironic that, yes, what Philip Lindsay said last week, which caused a little bit of drama with Jerry Jeudy.
Don't let Jerry Jeudy tweet.
I think Rod Smith did a really good job of just squashing the whole thing. But, sorry, it just looked like Travis Kelce was hurt. Oh, I think he is hurt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Those are replays.
I'm like, maybe he'll
happened a lot
stop.
earlier
Oh, God. I was like, maybe they'll stop talking about him, which would be so nice. I just think it's really interesting that, a week after Jerry Jeudy goes online and is like, obviously trying to defend himself in the wide receiver group. That, again, they are completely non-existent. Actually, let's take a look. We have receivers of the true wide receivers. 3 were targeted. Marvin Mims once, Cortland Sutton 3 times, Jerry Jeudy 7 times for 6 catches, 50 yards, 8.3 yards on average, 23 long. I mean, I feel like that's stat padding there for Jerry Jeudy if they're trying to move him. They're going to give him 7 targets this week. But, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Let's start with the ugly. I know I keep trying to do this, but it's so easy to just go all over the place. No, I want to start with the ugly because there were 8 fumbles in this game.
God.
And the Broncos had the worst one. I mean,
which one?
I know. We have options we can choose from. We have 4 to choose from for the Denver Broncos, but the last one.
That was
really
so bad.
You think that was the worst one?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, obviously because it ends the game.
It ends the game for this team. So
and it
don't
results
worry.
in a touchdown. Yeah.
We can talk about all of them if you want. But I really want to talk about this final one because it was the one that broke the camel's back. Russell Wilson strip sack. Williams gets the strip sack recovered by Bryce Hall. And what was he doing?
First of all, you're supposed to be covered on that play. The Jets go to an overload front. They have 3 defensive linemen to the left side of the offensive line. And then, you got Quinn Miners. He drops back, but the linebacker that's all right on top of Quinn Miners, he bails. So Quinn right there should understand that the pressure is coming right now from Williams on the outside, right?
Yep.
The Quincy Williams, not Quinton's brother, right? So the linebacker.
I'm sure he wants to be known by that.
You should be covered. It's only a 5-man rush right there. Rush should not have to try to escape the pocket right there. We used to pick that up all day, every day. It's just a dual read for the right guard, where if this linebacker comes, you have him. If he doesn't come, you're going to pop out now to the right side of Mike McGlinchey and pick up the linebacker that's coming out from the edge. So Russell should have been able to stay in the pocket, but you have an offensive line where you have Ben Powers and Garrett Bowles on the left side, and they've been struggling all day. And Russell Wilson has got a lot of pressure all day up in his face, where now you get Quinn Miners bailing and trying to go to help those guys. Those are the big money guys. Leave those guys soloed up and go get the free rusher to try to keep Russell Wilson in the pocket. But Russ has to be able to feel that pressure, throw the ball away, know that the D lineman or that Williams is gaining on him, and he cannot fumble that football right there.
So
I just don't know how you don't feel that pressure. I feel like I could feel the pressure from here, and it wasn't just because I was watching the game. Does he not have that?
I guess he thinks that, still, it might be Russ in the mid-20s, might be able to pull away a little bit from him.
He was pretty spry today, I have to say.
Yeah.
He was pretty spry.
He was quick.
He was a little quick. You're not wrong. When you watch a football game, are you watching the line the entire time? This is what I'm pulling from you. Is that you have very detailed remembering of what each lineman was doing.
No, for me,
I'm just look at the ball. I'm there's the ball.
He has every play.
No, so when I watch games, I make my own game book. 1st and 10, the ball went here. This might be pick up. If there's a sack, who it's on, and a play like that, I sat down and wrote it all out. Yeah.
Whoa.
So I make my own game books.
Yeah.
It's better for me to remember that way.
Eric showed up with 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
And went and sat on the other side. He was here.
I was downstairs.
Were you downstairs?
Yeah, I was eating wings.
Dranking?
I was eating wings and I had a beer. I had 1 beer.
In
The
beer.
wings
Okay.
were awesome.
They were
The wings were good.
They were
I know.
incredible wings.
I wish he would have been up here the whole time because to sit here next to him while he's creating this game book is just it's so much fun because you learn so much when you're sitting next to him because you're just he's like, did you see that? And I'm like, well, I was watching this side.
It's
He's
when you go
take your eye off the ball.
It's like when you go to a baseball game and you sit next to somebody that's keeping the score the whole time. You're like,
right. Yeah.
But also, I remember I also call games for ACC and ESPN.
And you played in the NFL. Yeah, we get it. We know.
We know. Yeah. Legend. The legend himself. Orlando Franklin, everybody. Give him up.
Get it.
Can we give a big round of applause for our legend?
That's all I was looking for, a little pat in the back.
No, we are genuinely so grateful for you being here, Big O. First time on the show. Obviously, expert analysis here. It's just been so much fun.
The
Pre-game
Broncos
was
are
awesome.
big 0-1 since you're here.
Oh, Big O and 1. Hey.
That's my fault.
Yeah.
Oh, D-line. You can see yourself right down that stairwell and onto the exit door. No. Okay. Additionally, while we stick with the ugly, because like my friend Freddie on the live chat has said, it was all ugly. Not all. We'll get to some good a little bit later just to make ourselves feel better heading into the short week. But let's stick with the ugly. The defense can absolutely not stop the run.
No.
Like we talked earlier, Breece Hall. I believe that he is a top 5 running back in this league. I'm not surprised to see him have success ever, but 177 yards, 22 carries, 8 yards on average. Like, why wasn't this defense able to lock in on him and make those adjustments? I know you talked about this a little bit earlier, but maybe expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, the run fits were just absolutely horrible. You know, that's the thing. When you play a 3-4 defense and you go get the guys, first of all, the Broncos need to upgrade the defensive line.
Yeah.
I think that we all have saw that over the last couple years. Haven't been able to do that. You gave up 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson, gave up, a first-round pick to go get your head coach and Sean Payton. So you haven't been able to kind of really go get the resources that you would need. Now, nothing against Garcia, nothing against Henderson, nothing against these guys, but they got to develop. They got, they're in a role right now where they probably should only be playing 10 to 15 snaps a game, but they got to play a little bit more just because of the lack of experience and the lack of talent on this defense. But when you play a 3-4 defensive style, those guys, the defensive tackle, the 2 defensive ends,
yes,
they line up head up on the tackles, right? The D ends, and then your nose tackle lines up head up on the center. And what they have to do is they have to mirror those guys. A guy like Mike Purcell, that's why he's been so good normally and playing and making hay in this league, is because he's done a great job of being able to just stay in front of the center. Center goes right, center goes left. Today, these guys were able to get to the edges, get the second lineman off on the linebackers on Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell, where now Breece Hall, you blink your eye and he's up on the secondary. He's on these safeties, and when a running back is 220 plus pounds, trust me, they're licking their chops when they get to the secondary as quick as he was getting to them today.
I even know too, missed tackles. A lot of missed tackles.
How many, Eric? How
I
many
didn't
would
write
you
down.
say?
I didn't write down.
You didn't
many.
write down how many?
I just wrote missed tackles.
There were some interesting. I mean, that's been a problem for this Denver defense, I think, the past few weeks. What were the number of missed tackles against Miami? Wasn't it like some absurd number? It was like 60 or something, like 69.
I
Or
have no idea exactly what it was.
47.
No,
Somebody
take
knows
notes
in the
down
comments.
fast.
Sure, right now, if the Broncos are not leading the league in missed tackles, I'm sure they're in the top 3 right now.
Yeah.
They have to be. I mean, they just
Yeah,
have
look it
been
up, would you?
horrible with, how they have approached it. And
does-
it's the lack of physicality. It's like these guys are second guessing themselves and they don't know exactly how they're supposed to fit off the run game. And, if I'm Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, when I come down as the safety, where am I fitting off of Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell? Everybody looks like they're doing their own thing at every single level right now on this defense.
Yeah, I think one that really stands out to me is that Conklin catch. Probably for 25, and then he just carries the entire defense with him for another 10, 12 yards. I mean, there are just little Broncos in zone coverage on that play.
Yeah.
Just some really confusing adjustments, like in-game adjustments that I was unsure as to why they were making in that specific point in the game.
Yeah. D-Line, what you got on that?
I mean, listen, I also think there's a speed deficit in our secondary. I've seen our secondary getting burned so many times. There was and perhaps it's bad angles. Perhaps there are other perhaps they're put in the wrong position so that with the calls that Vance Joseph is making, so they're trying to compensate for it. But it just feels like these guys are getting burned. They're getting burned, and I don't know. It's for the last however many terrible years that the Broncos have been treating us to this version, this new fresh hell that we've been living in since we won the Super Bowl. The defense is always the calling card, the one thing you can be all right,
hang your hat on
we
it.
can't get it done offensively. We don't have a quarterback. You always have to have a quarterback. There was some excuse that you could always look to, but the defense was the one thing that you felt okay, we're good there. Now it's just we have to learn how to score 16 points a game, and to see the defense look so inept so often and be in play just dusted and embarrassed. I mean, say no more than you don't have to look any further than that 70-point game, but it just the worst part also for this week is that it looked like they kind of figured it out a little bit. They
early.
looked competent. Nick Bonito had me. I mean, I was oh my God. Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Look at us. Look at us.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. So
Look
for
at
me,
us.
so when you say that, you talk about the speed, And for me, it's like it's the hesitation.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you look at these DBs, right? Yeah, 4-4. He's a 4-4 guy.
Right,
he's a
right.
4-5 guy. Like, these guys are all going to run 4-4 or 4-5 on paper, right? But what is the problem? Why do you look so much slower than a team when you go against some of these fast wide receivers or a team that's playing fast? And that's because you don't have a great grasp on the scheme. Schematically, are you doing too much? If you're Vance Joseph, do you have to simplify this defense where there's a lot less of a thought process out there now to put these guys in a better position where they're not thinking so much?
Right.
And on that Conklin play, that huge play up the seam, how about this? Instead of 5 guys trying to go for the ball, how about 1 guy go for the ball and the other guy go try to disjoint his kneecap? In a situation, just chop him down at the legs right there to get him down so he doesn't run for another 10 yards while everybody's holding it up. And I get the situation, but at some point, you gotta, for me, if I'm holding the ball and everybody is just going after the ball, I am going to secure that ball a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
But if I'm holding that ball and now Kareem Jackson comes down and kind of hits me right in my midsection or hits me in my thigh board or by my knee, I'm going to feel that. I might cough up the ball in a situation like that a lot easier instead of bringing half of the defense down the field for another 15 yards.
I want to talk a little bit about the offense for a second, given the fact that in the first quarter, they had, 130-something yards of offense. Looked really, really good. Maybe the points they weren't converting in the red zone like we were hoping, but there was a lot of potential there. And you can tell that they were out there and they were playing hard. The run game looked fantastic. Like, things were clicking. And then all of a sudden, you look down, and in the third quarter, the Broncos had 4 yards of offense.
They had 4 yards. They put that on the screen. I almost spit out my wings. My one beer. I almost spit it out.
Sean Payton comes out in the second half. He goes 3 and out. Throws the ball. First down. Second down. Third down. He comes out throwing the ball 3 straight times. What about the run game? Jaleel McLaughlin's doing awesome. What about, Samaje Perine? This run game has been working. Why are we coming out and throwing the ball 3 straight times to go 3 and out? And then you go to the second series now in the second half, and what happens? 1st and 10, holding on Garrett Bowles, right? So now that brings up 1st and 20. And then Perine he gets back 8, but now you're 2nd and 12. You try to get a screen going to Jaleel McLaughlin. That's -2 right now. Now you're 3rd and 14, and there's an incomplete to Courtland Sutton. And you just wasted 2 possessions in the second half just like that. And all you've ran is 7 plays. And that's the third quarter right there for you.
And please keep in mind, in between those 2 offensive series for the Broncos, the Jets came out, scored a touchdown on their first play of the second half, and you can tell the momentum is shifting.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, culture-wise, if that was kind of a moment where if that touchdown kind of sprinkled, I don't know if there was a wound open, whatever that wound was. Maybe the second quarter they didn't look as good as they did in the first. Things kind of maybe started feeling like they were falling apart a little bit. And then that touchdown, was that the Breece Hall? That was the Breece Hall touchdown?
Yeah. The
right
70-yard run.
One play,
72
yards. Yep.
That touchdown is just that's like one of those moments where I feel like last week against the Bears do that somehow or another, that like fuels the Broncos' fire, where today it was like, shit.
Yeah, because
like
you're
game over.
You're feeling really good, right? Going into halftime,
Yeah.
right? It's 13-8. Defense got to stop. You're laughing at Nathaniel Hackett and
really
the Jets.
good
They
stop.
weren't able to get that, spike the ball and kick the field goal
I know.
right there.
I've never felt better. As a smug gentleman, that was me at my smuggest. I was
Yeah.
like,
The bar erupted.
it was the greatest moment. It was
It was a
amazing.
Hackett moment. It was like a true like Hackett moment where the offense isn't able to get the ball off and they don't even get 3 points. I love it.
But then it's the 3 and out, right?
Yep.
The 3 and out leads to now the Breece Hall 70+ yard touchdown.
And now we ain't feeling
one
it anymore.
play, and then now you go 4 plays and you're kicking you're punting once again, right? And the game is switched, and the momentum you're taking all the momentum out of the stadium just like that.
But that's the wildest thing. Oh, God.
Go ahead. No,
I was going to say that's the wildest thing is that they clearly made some kind of concerted effort to want to get Russ and the passing game going, but no one was ever open.
Yeah,
no
so
one
you
was
gotta stick
open.
with the run.
Russ was just holding the ball. He held the ball and took a safety. He held the ball, and then how many times we see him have to do his little half circle run back, and then the ball. the ball has to be out 3 seconds. Like that's you hear this over and over.
We'll talk
I
about wide
think
receivers.
I think he's being coached to do that half circle run back. I think that's a big part of Sean Payton. When Russ goes to spin one way and then he comes right back into the pressure to create. I think that's what Sean Payton was saying at the end of the game. But at the end of the game, with the Russ was running and it turns into a fumble, you said it. That you saw Sean Payton saying something about back, and I think he's saying, "Hey, spin back on that like you normally do in a situation like that to try to create space instead of trying to run away from the defender."
Interesting. So I saw it, but I didn't see it. I saw it with my eyes closed. I
So,
love that.
so is it possible the number one person to blame for today's game is Caleb Williams? Are we tanking? It's possible. It's possible.
Somebody earlier called you the drunk uncle.
The drunkle?
The drunkle on this show, and I love it because you do have such good drunkle takes.
Oh,
They're
dude,
so
I'm
good.
the drunkest uncle takes.
You're it's my favorite. I'm loving this. What I am also loving is the fact that we have the one and only Zac Stevens standing by to join the show because I am highly curious as to what was said post game at the podium. So Zac, will you join us, please? Oh, Zac's not ready totally yet. It's because I waited too long. I had a notification 5 minutes ago that Zac was ready, but we were in heated conversation. So there's no way. Apparently, Russell Wilson not spinning back into pressure, which, again, I'm trying to figure out why would you coach that necessarily, but
I mean, he does do a good job on how he feels the game, right? And I saw it 3 or 4 times already. First of all, this offensive line needs to do a lot better of a job because I felt like Russ was running for his life today. You know, he found success on the ground with running the ball, but at the same time, there's a reason why he's having to run the football, right? This offensive line is not holding up their end of the bargain. This Jets front 7 got after this front 5 today for the Broncos. But I mean, what Russ does a really good job is that feel where he's able to kind of step up in the pocket and then he'll step back and then he'll end up spinning out of pressure, right? So I feel like in a situation like that, maybe Sean Payton was saying, it's either he's saying spin back or throw it to the back.
Throw it to the back.
In a situation like that. But Russ has found so much success in his career kind of stepping up out of the pressure and then kind of going back into where the pressure has came.
Yeah.
So I think it could go either way right there.
Okay, Russell Wilson's stat line really quick. Passing 20 for 30, completion percentage of just about 65% for 196 yards. 6.3 yards per attempt. He was sacked 4 times for a loss of 27, 2 touchdowns, passer rating of 103.7. What's interesting is he had 7 runs today for 49 yards, averaged 7 yards for each of those. And were there some that looked called, planned? Or
there was one.
Were all 7 of those, do you think, scrambles because the wide receivers were not open? Russ was trying to keep the play alive.
There was one.
There was only one, and it was at the goal line.
On the goal line, that one on the goal line, 5 wide, empty protection.
Okay.
That to me looked, it just happened like 2 bang bang. So that looked to me like it was a calling up and running, and I think that's a great call, especially going against a team that's so special in the red zone. You have to be, creative down there, and what better way to be creative than, call it up, design run to the quarterback because defensive coordinators are not able to account for the quarterback. But other than that, the other 6, that's pressure.
Yeah.
That's immediate pressure right now, and that's a breakdown by the offensive line.
What's interesting, too, is minus the Russell Wilson 7 carries, the Broncos only ran the ball 15 times. It felt like a lot more than that, but it was only 15 touches for P. Ryan and Jaleel McLaughlin, which is about half of what you want to see from this Broncos offense. We will get to that here in just a minute. Zac Stevens is ready for us. Yeah. My friend, hi. You look good for seeing what you just saw in person.
He's trying to duck out of screen.
Yeah, he's trying to duck out of
Smartest thing he's ever done.
Will you fill us in? What was said post-game? What's the vibe like in that Broncos locker room right now?
Well, I think everyone knows that the season is over. But unfortunately, it's kind of just the same. I mean, it's another week. It's another season. It's everything just the same. And this is just another year of that. And, of course, everyone wants to know what Sean Payton said about his Hacketts regarding Nathaniel Hackett. Sean doesn't want to talk about those. In fact, he was asked, those are the final two questions of his press conference today. He was asked if he regrets the comments and what he thinks about his comments now. And he said, I've already talked about that. And then walked off the stage when there were still more questions to be asked. So Sean Payton clearly embarrassed with what happened. And he said, this one hurts. This one hurts because of how bad the Broncos played today.
Zac, I wish I could hear you.
No, he was just saying that how bad it went and that Sean Payton clearly embarrassed. You know who else was embarrassed? Us. That was terrible.
Yeah, we were pretty embarrassed. From your point of view, up in the press box, Zac, what was kind of that turning point for the Denver Broncos when the wheels really kind of started to fall off for this team?
Can you guys hear me a little better right now?
Yeah.
A little bit?
It's not
Okay.
you. It's super loud in the bar, my friend.
Yeah, don't internalize
Yeah,
this.
don't
please.
internalize. It's not your fault.
Okay.
Nothing is your fault,
Well,
Zac.
it was right after halftime, and it was very clear. 72-yard touchdown the first time the Jets touched the ball in the second half, and that just blew the game wide open, and the Broncos could never recover from that because they couldn't stop the run. And get this is a stat from our friend Andrew Mason. This is the worst 3-game stretch that the Broncos run defense has ever had. Over 750 yards given up on the ground in these past 3 games. Of course, the disaster in Miami, the Bears last week, and then what happened today. They just could not stop Breece Hall, and it was so clear just watching it in the press box and having kind of that bird's eye view. There were holes for days, and Breece Hall just kept running through those. This was a guy that last year tore his ACL on this exact field, and he was not able to be slowed down against this Broncos defense. And what's crazy is the first 4 drives, the Broncos defense was great against the Jets. 3 and out, 0 yards, 0 yards. For the first 4 drives, the Jets had 0 yards of offense, and then it just exploded. The next 4 drives, they had almost 250 yards of offense, and the Broncos just could not slow down Breece Hall. And then that put no pressure on Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson played a game exactly how the Jets wanted him to play. Obviously not that pick at the end by Pat Surtain, but that was just a great player making a great play. The Broncos did not put enough pressure on Zach Wilson after that first quarter when they had 3 sacks on him. That's the most sacks the Broncos have had in the first quarter since 2015, that Super Bowl defense. And then that disappeared because they couldn't stop anything on the ground. And it was just a disaster of a game from the Broncos run defense. And this defense, I mean, giving up 31 points. I know the defense only gave up, 22 points themselves with the fumble that was returned for a touchdown and the safety, but still they couldn't stop anything. And the Broncos offense was awful in the second half as well, specifically coming out of halftime. The Broncos defense gives up that 72-yard touchdown run, and then the next 5 possessions, the Broncos have negative 18 yards of offense. 5 possessions. You have 4 3-and-outs, which is 4 punts, and then on top of that, you have a fumble. That is as bad as it can be. So the good news is we see flashes from this Broncos offense every single week. The bad news is we see flashes for only about one half of football. This team, 5 weeks into the season, is still playing one half of football in a 60-minute game. And it was so bad. The Broncos were so bad that they lost by 10 points. And Robert Saleh, after the game, said, if we didn't have our red zone issues, where they were 0 for 5 in the red zone, we should have blown this team out of the water. He was taking shots at the Broncos and Sean Payton after the game, too.
Zac, I got to ask, you got that bird's eye view. You get to sit up in that nice press box. Talk to me about these wide receivers, man, for the Broncos, because, you know, I get worse and worse each and every week just kind of watching them and their inability to get open down the field.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal. I mean, they're not going to use a wide receiver, so you might as well trade them. And now you're 1-4, so you're going to be moving 1 or 2 of these guys. One of the things that I was just so frustrated with, though, is at the end of the game, Marvin Mims was in the doghouse, so he was not on the field. You need big plays. Why isn't Marvin Mims your biggest playmaker on the field just to send a message to him? Well, you're sending a message to a 1-4 football. There doesn't need to be a message sent to Marvin Mims right now. Yes, the fumbles, I guess the 2 fumbles he had were not good, but I did not like that at all. And then Courtland Sutton doesn't have his first catch until the 2-minute warning of the game. And Orlando, I saw you pointed out, and there were actually multiple times where it was pretty apparent Courtland Sutton was jogging or walking when the game was going on, specifically on key third downs. If you're going to put that type of effort out there, put someone else in the game. So I think that this is there's just a lot of problems with these Broncos receivers not getting open, Russ not looking for them not being part of the game plan. Jerry Jeudy was the only wide receiver to have more than one catch in a lot of his yards. I mean, at one point, I think in the third quarter, he had 3 catches for 5 yards. So talk about wide receivers just being completely non-existent in this offense.
Yeah, any final thoughts from what you heard from players or Coach Payton at the podium after this one?
Yeah, embarrassment. It was an embarrassing loss. It's an embarrassing season. It's embarrassing what Sean Payton did in training camp to come out with those comments and then have an even worse team than Nathaniel Hackett had last year. 1-4 is where the Broncos are. Last year at this time, they were 2-3. They weren't very good, but they weren't this bad. And now you get the Kansas City Chiefs. So the way the Broncos are phrasing it is we got a short week. We got a short week to turn things around and go out and beat the Chiefs. Well, they're a 10.5-point underdog going into today against the Chiefs on Thursday night. That might flip even more. And right now, Broncos have the 3rd overall pick in the draft, which Caleb Williams talk is only going to heat up this week. And I just can't believe the first week of October, we're already talking about how it's time to look at the draft. Just another depressing season that is not only depressing, but really embarrassing for this organization.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Zach. We really appreciate it.
You really just made me feel a lot better right there, Zach. Thanks.
Now we're feeling like next
Oh, man.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's true. There's no reason why we should be talking. Like, when you think Sean Payton's coming in to save the Broncos, never in my wildest dreams did I think by week 5 that we would be talking about the draft, but that is where we're at.
I mean, think about it, right? You go get the big shiny head coach, you give up a first-round draft pick
A
for
first-round
him,
draft pick.
all that type of money that you're paying him. And the Broncos have never been looking forward to the draft after week 5.
Ever,
The
yeah.
Broncos have never looked at after week 5 talking about wholesale changes and burn it all down. Heck, the Broncos have never even been in a full rebuild mode since 2015 after Payton has walked through the door. But yet, Sean Payton comes here and this is where you're at.
I'm saying
this comes a month and a half after he talked about this team being a playoff team.
I'm saying if they do not fire Vance Joseph at any point in the next 2-3 weeks, then I am fully embracing the tinfoil hat theory that they're trying to make this happen. Sean Payton is a diabolical enough guy to make this happen. Is he savvy enough or is he incompetent? I don't know. There's so many things that you look at that just don't make sense.
That makes me want to have a drink. And I know for a fact my friends at Breck Brew can help me out with that.
We got a whole bucket right here.
We have a whole bucket right here, the Broncos Country Pale Ale. That is the beer of the month here at the DNVR bar. For those of you who aren't into beer, they have the Good Company Hard Seltzer, which is absolutely fantastic. Like you guys all know, that it's their love and passion for making good beer that makes it just so delicious. They've been doing it for 32 years. They're huge fans of us here at DNVR. They're the official beer of the DNVR bar. So get yourself some Breck Brew.
Yes.
It's something that I feel like I don't like to feel like I need to drink after a Broncos game in order to numb the feeling. But I feel like I have every game. Even last week I was like, ooh, should not have been that close of a game against the Bears. I could really use at least a Good Company Hard Seltzer. So you guys know what to do. Head out to actually the farmhouse there in Littleton this Thursday. If you guys can't make it here to the DNVR bar, they're having a watch party for the Broncos and Chiefs game where it's truly endless beer supply there at Breck Brew, and you might freaking need it. So head on out there or check out the beer locator at breckbrew.com to find a brew near you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, emotional pain, you can't be litigious against emotional pain.
I can't smash the 2 for
you
this.
You can smash the 2.
This feels like an injury.
Listen, when you're hurt, and Backus and Shaker is here to help. Although, again, not emotionally. They're looking for actual physical pain. Don't smash the 2 for this, though.
I'm going to smash
They would love
the 2
to talk to you, but not in this regard. So Backus and Shaker wins for Colorado families. They've been helping those who are seriously injured, not by the Broncos, in Colorado for more than 25 years. They're free until they win money in your case, which I don't think they'll win money against the Broncos. Again, I just have to keep pressing this. There's no upfront fee to speak about your case, and there's no fee while they work on your case. They have won over $1 billion for their clients, and they have even more locations serving all of Colorado, including neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, Fort Collins, and Dove Valley, probably soon.
Probably.
Backes and Shaker helps with all kinds of injury cases when you weren't at fault, car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, and trucks. We can even help if you're injured at work. Call
222.
Look at that. What
Smash the 2, baby.
Unbelievable. This memory. How
I know.
can you do that?
They make it easy. Smash the 2.
And find out if you have a case for free. Backes and Shaker wins, unlike the Broncos.
They've won over $1 billion for their clients, which is still less than a quarter of what the Walton Penner family ownership group paid for the Denver Broncos. And I have to assume there's probably no one more frustrated right now than Greg Penner and this ownership group, because they invested. They are spending the money to see this team win, and that is just not what we're seeing so far, which is absolutely crazy. I want to go back to something that Zac had said when he pointed out Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims was targeted one time today. Heading into this game, he was averaging 26.9 yards per catch, which was a league best. He has the most yards per target, 22, most yards at the catch, about 19, and the third most yards after the catch in the league. In the league. This guy is a playmaker, and prior to this game, we're seeing him 25% of the snaps in a game. Why is he not on the field, Big O?
Yeah, stop the gimmicks, right? Take this young man off of punt return as well and kickoff return. He needs to be your number 2, or if not your number 2, your number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
This offense needs more targets. He needs more reps, and him and Russell Wilson need to get really comfortable with each other moving forward, because that connection has been explosive through 5 games already. So for me, this is a Sean Payton issue. This is a Sean Payton, I don't care, you're the head guy. You just shipped Randy Gregory out of here. You said, hey, Brandon McManus, you're gone too, right? We're gonna not have anonymous donors. We're not gonna be in the media. We're gonna do all of these different things. It's compete street. Well, Sean Payton, you got a big decision to make, and that is Marvin Mims Jr. should be playing, so that's on you. You're the head coach. Get it done.
Ugh.
Mims thoughts, D-line?
I don't know, man. It's so confusing. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you not scheme him in? How do you not have, during the scripted part of the game, shots that you take from Marvin Mims has been the bright spot for the Denver Broncos this year. Like, he...
Minus the couple fumbles.
He erased a lot of his good. Well, he also had a return.
Yeah.
Marvin Mims has been like exciting. Marvin Mims has shown you like a brief glimpse into like what a beautiful future could look like. Where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. A
like
beautiful future.
Russell Wilson can throw the ball. Guys can catch it. We can score touchdowns. All of these things that like seemed impossible last year.
Yeah. So for me, just looking at like today, right? The fumbles that he had today. The first one,
punished on the reverse.
Right? The first one, I'm like, that coaching's got to be better in a situation like that. The coach got to let him know that, hey, right there, you got to be able to fair catch the football, or you got to be able to catch that ball and go straight down.
Yep.
You cannot. This is not college. Guys are trying to get after the football. As soon as that, guys are being trained that's where they're swiping at, right?
Yeah.
As far as the reverse, I thought that was the dumbest play
so
I ever
dumb.
saw.
It wouldn't
in
have
my
worked
life.
anyway. It had no chance of working.
It was about to get blown up.
But how
either
about
way.
Sauce Gardner is off the field? How about that?
Yeah.
How about we just have a little bit of awareness in a situation like that? Sauce Gardner's off the field. Let's go attack his replacement.
Yeah.
I remember being in games when Peyton Manning 18 was in that game and you saw a starting cornerback go on. I bet you that the next passing play is going at his replacement.
Right there.
That replacement is not forewarm. He doesn't have a good feel for the game. But the Broncos try to run a reverse, and then Samaje Perine, come on. You played a lot of football. You got to be better. You can't be just throwing that football like it's a loaf of bread right there.
It really looked like he was throwing an alley-oop. Just getting him right at the rim.
Yeah,
That was the most poorly executed
to me,
play.
it reminded me of like in Seattle at the the big public
the
market,
Pike Market?
the Pike
Just
Market,
tossing a
where
salmon.
they're tossing the fish.
Yeah, but they want you to
looked like
catch
a
the
fish
They want you
toss.
to catch the fish.
Yeah, but like it looked like the ball looked like it had scales on it, like it was slippy.
It's
slippy out here,
if
guys.
they threw you a sturgeon at that level, like that thing would go into the street. That was not a good pass.
Just hit me
Bad
right in
times.
the face. Yeah, that was bad. Okay, quickly, and I know this is gonna just
Weren't we
make
going
everybody.
to go to the good thing?
Yeah, we kind of put the bad and the ugly together. Like we talked about the wide receiver room being non-existent. Is there anything else anybody wants to add about the wide receivers? Because like I feel like that's kind of it.
That for me, it's just it's one saying: effort requires no talent.
You
Effort.
mentioned Cortland Sutton just jogging off the line of scrimmage. Like
Yeah,
he
he's
wasn't even
gone.
like running his route.
Well,
Is
that
he?
huge third down, we saw it down the replay. He basically jogged the whole entire time. But the other one, to Jerry Jeudy, where he runs kind of that little corner route in the fourth quarter and is able to get that huge explosive play on third down.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton jogs off the line of scrimmage again right there.
He's
I don't
not-
know if he's pouting. I
He's
don't
out,
know
dude.
what
He's
he's
gone.
doing, but this is absolutely ridiculous. You make too much money to go out there and not put it on the line.
Yeah.
And when you're a veteran guy, you can't have those mistakes. It can't be the my bad and I'll do it right the next time. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's so frustrating because for me, guys, I just like you guys, no matter what, I'm always going to have a vested interest with the Broncos, right? They drafted
Totally.
me. They took a chance on me.
Yeah, just like us.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it's so frustrating watching guys out there because it did not matter who you went up against. For 60 minutes,
Yeah.
I was going to give you everything that I had,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And some. And right now, I'm not seeing that from a guy that is the longest tenured Denver Bronco right now. Cortland Sutton is.
Yeah.
I think you hit on this earlier when you were talking about potentially there are things in the air that maybe he's hearing, like maybe his representation is hearing about the fact that they're shopping him. And it just seemed like he was not engaged, like he had senioritis, like he knows that they're going to trade him, and he's like,
But don't you still want to like put
Man,
something good out on film?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm
Like
trying.
mean,
I feel like
wanna
there's
put my
a
best
pride
effort
factor.
so I could get traded to the best team. Like
Right.
that's what I'm trying to do. Like
Yeah, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl.
I'm trying to show teams that I
Yeah.
could be a piece. Like
Yeah,
you
I want
know,
the
like,
Eagles calling.
It's
I want the-
bad.
yeah.
It's been bad here. We haven't made it to the postseason in my entire career.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let me go and give this thing everything that I got, and
sure.
also so I could keep my money. Right?
Yeah,
I
that
don't
sounds
want to
good.
get traded and then all of a sudden next year I'm getting cut and released and now I'm
Yeah.
playing for vet minimum or something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not trying to absolve the man. I'm just trying to delve into the psychology.
The psychology.
Like, what's going on out there?
You
'Cause
look
it-
like you could be a psychologist.
I do.
I'd pay you good.
I think it's
my
because
good
I
hard money.
have salt and pepper on the side of my
yeah,
temples.
yeah. You look very
And
regal,
I'll
very
get
smart.
leather patches on my.
I like that. Yeah, we'll get you something.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to figure this out because Cortland Sutton's been like a pretty rugged wideout. He's been like a tough guy. He's been a high effort guy. He's been a guy that, you've.
And he's been through a lot.
He's been through a lot. He fought his way to
Yeah.
come back. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that he would all of a sudden just be lacking on the effort side of the equation because that's never been who he is. And it's like either Sean Payton is like completely alienated and lost this wide receiver room and like nobody's buying in and they're all sort of just like looking over their shoulder and trying to figure out what is next for them because it's clearly not here, or I don't know. Maybe he's hurt. I'm trying to look for any kind of explanation because it doesn't make any sense. That's the thing. Like the theme I keep coming back to is at the end, like there's so many factors. I'm like, I don't even understand this. Like I can't even give a theory as to what's going on because it doesn't add up.
Well, out of 8 different pass catchers from from Russell Wilson today, Cortland Sutton was the 5th most targeted with 3. Like I said, he had 1 catch for 13 yards. One, you're not making the most of your opportunities if you're not grabbing those other 2. I don't remember exactly if they were misplaced or exactly what those balls look like for Cortland Sutton.
Probably weren't good.
But, I mean, it's just interesting to me that you're going to target Jaleel McLaughlin, Adam Troutman. We'll get to that. I know you want to talk Troutman for a second. Jerry Jeudy and Samaje Perine. I love the fact that we have backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield. That's exciting. That's some stuff that maybe we haven't seen, here in Broncos country as of late. It's something it's nice to have as an option. But then you got a guy like Adam Troutman, which I was talking about this earlier. Adam Troutman is a very mid blocker, very average. And to me, trying to figure out, I keep going back to this. I'm going to get called out for this. I know this. I'm sorry.
Trying to connect the
I'm
dots
just
here.
trying to figure out why you bring in, if you're going to just bring in a pass catching tight end, why you wouldn't go with Alberto.
Caleb Williams.
Why you wouldn't go with Alberto?
Caleb, I'm telling you.
Alberto. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it made no sense to me. When you started watching that third and final preseason game, and the longer Alberto was in that football game, it became very apparent what the Broncos were getting ready to do. They were shopping him to move him. But I don't know how you look at Greg Dulcich and last year and his health specifically, right? His inability to be available during OTAs, him starting the training camp on, the football injury list, him missing a lot of football games, having also a hamstring issue. When you're a fast guy and you have a hamstring issue, those linger. Those don't, just go away when you have those issues. How do you see Greg Dulcich and say, yeah, we're comfortable in this situation and we're going to keep Adam Troutman, we're going to keep, these other guys as well? To me, it would have been two Greg Dulciches, Alberto and Greg Dulcich, because I need the absolute most out of this tight end room, and it's not like you haven't done it before. Guys, a little added caveat to it is, the 1 year of Jimmy Graham's college career playing football, I was his left tackle at the University of Miami. Jimmy Graham did not want to block anybody. It was very apparent that he did not want to do that. But yet Sean Payton still drafted him. Sean Payton still figured it out. Sean Payton still turned him into this tight end receiving machine, where it was so bad that Jimmy Graham was suing the Saints because they were trying to tender him on a tight end salary. And Jimmy Graham's like, look how much targets I get. You guys run me like a wide receiver. I want to be paid like a wide receiver. So it's so bad with a guy like that. When you were Sean Payton and you figured it out with him, but now all of a sudden you could have too many weapons. You're getting virtually no production out of this tight end room right now since Greg Dulcich has went down, and it's hurting this football team.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh my God.
I saw somebody ask a question a little bit earlier. I think it was Matthew. He was asking, can somebody tell me what happened to Javonte Williams? He was ruled out for this game. He went out during pregame to try to stretch out his quads, see if he was going to be able to go here today. He was unable to go. And I don't think Javonte Williams in his absence, I'm glad if he has a nagging quad injury, I'm glad that he's not out there. I would like to see him sit this Thursday against the Chiefs as well, if that's what it's going to take to get him back to full health, because I don't think our running backs are a problem. I think I think Jaleel McLaughlin and Samaje Perine are two guys that you can really lean on, and I'm not worried about the run game. I'm worried about how many times we ran the ball, just 15, not including, obviously, Russell Wilson scrambles. And then I'm worried about why this wide receivers room cannot get open. So I think there's bigger questions whether Javonte Williams is in the game or not. I think we see the exact same result, unfortunately, here for the Denver Broncos. But I kind of want to ask about what's next for the Denver Broncos, because they're now sitting at 1-4, coming off a
I think it's there.
Disturbing loss to the New York Jets. Nathaniel Hackett and the New York Jets.
I know. Stop saying it.
I don't want to say it.
Let's just get it out. Everybody, just we need this has to be a therapeutic
NFL
session.
schedule makers are
Just look in the mirror.
I'll tell you what's next.
We lost
Everybody
to
looks at
Nathaniel
the
Hackett.
Broncos and says it's a get-right game. Everybody says, hey, whatever we're struggling with, we can get right. Zach Wilson, we just had Zac Stevens on, and he talked about Zach Wilson played the perfect game that the Jets wanted him to play. So Zach Wilson now is looking up and trending in the right direction. The Miami Dolphins, what they just did, that massacre. You saw Justin Fields, even though they lost, first time he threw 3 touchdowns, right? And still balled out.
Got right.
It was the get-right game. Everybody's looking at the Broncos, and now they're circling the Denver Broncos, saying we could get right against that football team. Whatever we need to fix, we'll fix it against them.
Schedule makers.
Can we go? We did the bad and the ugly. Can we do the good?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Jaleel McLaughlin was great. What a great guy. What a great player. I love that guy.
I love he is so fun to watch. The way he could start and stop and he's so agile. He's so quick. He gets lost in the offensive line, then he just appears, and what a dynamic playmaker. And I think it's safe to say Jaleel and Marvin are the future of this franchise. And at this point, if the Broncos don't full send with Marvin Mims and Jaleel, then I'm going to put your 10 hat on, and I'm going to be they're trying to legit tank, because these guys give you a legitimate chance to win.
Yep.
When they're in the game plan, they give you the opportunity to win. And when I see Marvin Mims with 1 target today, I want to just,
and it makes absolutely no sense, because
getting upset.
This defense for the Jets,
He's
right,
laughing over there.
was a very good football team. They are a very good front seven. They're a very good defense. They will be in the top 10 when the season's over, right? And you look at, the next good defense that the Broncos have played against, well, it was the Washington Commanders. What did we see with the Washington Commanders? The Broncos go max protection. They put Brandon Johnson out on a route. They put Marvin Mims out on a route. Only 2 guys out of the 5 are running routes, and Marvin Mims takes the top off of the defense. Has a huge 50-yard play down the middle of the field. But yet, we don't go back to that against another good defense, right? So that's what's frustrated. Today, Jaleel McLaughlin running up and down, finding the holes. He has a huge screen pass where he double catches it, takes it to the house. You run one screen to him later on, the Jets sniff it out, but why don't you go back to it?
Yeah.
You're Sean Payton. You've been doing this. You're flipping Sean Payton. You've had so much success.
Yes.
How does the defensive coordinator move you off of these great little things, these great little nuggets so
Doesn't make
quick?
sense, does it? Doesn't make sense.
No sense to me.
not
Jaleel
adding up.
McLaughlin should be getting 4 screens thrown to him a game moving forward.
None of it's
Marvin
adding
Mims should have at least 3 targets over 25 yards a game moving forward. And if you're not doing that, unfortunately, I do got to put on the tin cap because they are trying to tank for
I'm
Caleb
telling you,
Williams.
listen, I'm telling you, you all need to get on my level here. We all need to be on my level. I'm playing 4D chess over here, me and Sean Payton. If the Broncos are a strip, sack, and scoop away from being winless on the season.
0-5?
Yes, they were very much trending towards losing that game against the Chicago Bears. All of these things that we're talking about, at a certain point, you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like, there's no way that Sean Payton has just lost all common, just any kind of strategic advantage that he gained over his entire career, a very successful career in the NFL. He looks hapless. Like, these things you're talking about, you're like, why would anyone do these things? Why would you come out and then just start throwing the ball every time, go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out to come out of halftime? It's not adding up. And I can get mad to a point, but at a certain point I'm like, bro, are we getting Kaiser Soze? We might be getting Kaiser Soze.
Well,
I get that, but at the same time, like...
Oh, I'm mad. I'm mad.
No, so the reason why I can't just jump on that is because of how frustrated he looks, right? That Russell fumble, like Sean Payton looks like he is frustrated in that situation.
But you can be like, nuts. It's not that hard to look frustrated.
I mean, I guess we'll see what happens, but they gotta find a way to play for each other. I can tell you that. That's what's been the biggest thing that's been so disheartening for me watching this football team. You got a lot of guys doing their own thing. A lot of guys just saying, you know what? It's my turn to mess up for this football team. I remember when playing with the Denver Broncos. I remember when we got Peyton Manning and me and Ryan Clady, we were leaving the Miami International Airport. We were just down there for whatever reason, hanging out together. And we started high-fiving each other in the airport when that announcement came out.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, football's about to become so much more easier.
Yes.
And then we showed up for OTAs and Peyton walked through the door and we realized how much harder football just became because the level of intensity and the attention to detail that he demanded, and every offensive lineman didn't want to give up that first sack because he's coming off a couple neck surgeries. You don't know how it's going to hold up. You don't want Broncos country to run you up out of here. But it meant so much to the football team when you let your teammates down. And I just do not see that from nobody. When guys mess up, it's just kind of like, okay, we'll just move on and I'll be better next time, guys. I watched Damari Mathis miss a tackle today and he laid down on the ground for 4 seconds. I remember back in the day, a guy missed a tackle, they would pop up so quick because they didn't want to be singled out. They didn't want you to see them on the ground because they were so afraid that you were going to get up in their face because they weren't taking care of business.
He got his ankles broken on that play.
The craziest part about the season is we have played one good football team, and they scored 70 points against us. It's going to get dark. It's going to get dark in Broncos country. This should have been the easiest part of the schedule.
Yeah.
Especially if you look at what all of the teams we've played have done since or before we played, the Commanders. I mean, the Bears actually, they got right because they played against us, but it's going to get dark. Everyone needs to just hold on for just it's I don't know
Hold
what
on
to say. just for dear
the
life.
Nuggets and Avs season.
Well, I mean,
right around
that's the one
corner.
thing. I mean,
I know.
we're about to be in Nikola Jokic time, so
Yeah.
things are about to get a lot brighter. But
I know that the Broncos have disappointed you just to an extent that we can't even put into words.
no.
I know who will not disappoint you, and that is Fubo TV.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I
Fubo
love Fubo.
TV. Okay, I'd like to give a hat tip to Fubo for literally saving my Saturday yesterday, because, of course, it's the first time my Buffs are not nationally televised, and I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? I know that's a problem.
saved me yesterday, too.
That's a new problem that I have is that my Buffs aren't nationally televised, but. On Fubo, they do have the Pac-12 network
Yes.
for however much longer the Pac-12 network's a thing. And a big shout out to you, Fubo, for literally making this the easiest.
Oh, this is how we do it.
This is the problem with Remember Me.
Big
I
O,
am
Big
so
O has-
easily.
Oh, my
You guys
God.
are
Has
playing
ADD.
some jams in here. I've been holding it in the last hour
Last
since
hour.
we've
Can I
been
tell you
on, but I'm
Can I tell
ready
you
to go
something?
now.
But Fubo
Playing
makes you
all
wanna
my
do this
jams.
too.
Don't hold it in.
Fubo TV makes me want to do this because I'm not kidding. It is just so easy to cut your cable cord
Yes.
and watch Fubo because I'm just a live TV sports person anyways.
Yes.
And so that's all I'm looking for. And they have everything that I'm looking for from college football, NFL, U.S. Open tennis.
Altitude.
I did watch the Ryder Cup
Oh, wow.
on this.
Now
That was
we've taken a dark
That
turn.
was heartbreak. Yeah, I don't know what's more heartbreaking, the U.S.'s performance in the Ryder Cup or the Broncos season thus far.
Broncos.
Competitive. But at FuboTV.com/DNVR, you can sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. And let me tell you,
Ooh.
you will not be disappointed.
Dude, Fubo's great.
I love Fubo.
I've been on the road.
You said it saved you yesterday?
Bring
too?
Fubo up on the phone.
So nice.
Beautiful.
140 live channels of sports.
Last night in Charlottesville, I called the game yesterday, Virginia versus William and Mary. I'm getting ready to watch the University of Miami, and guess what? It's not on TV. So popped
Yeah.
it up on the iPad, clicked on Fubo, was easily able to get it, and right there I got to watch my Hurricanes. And Mario Cristobal did a worse job, if you could believe it, yesterday with what he did and not taking that knee at the end of the game and
Running
ended
back
up losing
fumbles the
it.
ball.
Yeah.
I love the shot of, I don't know who it was sitting on the bench, but he's like, what the F are we doing?
Yeah, it's
like,
out of
what
center.
the
Lee.
F? Was that the center?
Yeah.
I have that same question watching the Canes, watching the Broncos. Like, what are we doing? Something that I'm glad I didn't do today was take Russell Wilson in a same-game
passing
parlay on Bet365.com. This was a super boost, too. It was plus 300, Russell Wilson over 200 passing yards and 2 touchdowns.
They look so
And
good beforehand, don't they?
I was like, that's easy bet to make.
Yeah, I actually I didn't make any
Nothing today.
bets like that either on the Denver Broncos. But Bet365, it's Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 at sign up. Bet365. We don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some obvious exceptions. They make Denver Bronco games not that epic. Not Bet365's fault though. Not their issue.
The reason why I'm upset about this bet and that I'm glad I didn't make it.
Right.
But the thing that's most annoying for those who did, you missed it by 4 yards.
Oh my God.
He threw 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, if you made that bet, please comment right now.
Yeah. Let's
Because
commiseration
you're
time. But every touchdown, every game, every point, every play, from moments that are legendary to ones that fly under the radar. Use that code DNVR365 at sign up. You must be 21 or over and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, text 1-800-GAMBLER and receive the help you need.
Yeah, do that.
Just do it.
Do that, Phil Nicholson.
Real quick
Yes.
stat. Last time the Jets won an away game was last year against the Broncos.
Really?
Wow.
Oh,
So-
thanks for chiming in, Yahir. Appreciate that.
I'm the stats guy. By the way, the Broncos only have 25 missed tackles through 4 weeks, surprisingly enough.
They only have
That's pretty good.
25 missed tackles?
Yeah, which puts them
That's a
like
lie.
15. That's
pretty
according
good.
to Pro
To who?
Football Reference.
Is that actually
Pro
the good
football-
quality?
No, I don't think that's true.
Neither do
That
I,
can't be
but like
true.
it can't. But like through 4 weeks.
I'm going to dig. Once we start getting into comments, I did see one right here that said from David Santos. He just said Orlando needs to start coaching. He did do a coaching internship in San Francisco.
That's why I'm so keyed into the San Francisco 49ers
Has
and Dallas
nothing to
game
do
right
with
now.
playing the game.
Yeah.
Are you keyed into this?
Yeah, no, I love coaching, man. There's nothing like it. I just don't love the hours of coaching.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's nuts. It's, 4 days a week. It's 20 hours. Easy. I spent a lot of time sleeping in my office in 2021 when I did that coaching internship.
Oh, I'm sure. It's worth noting.
Make Hank come in here. Hank, come take your medicine. How you we're all taking the bullet here for you.
Watching on mute.
You
You're
guys are
doing great. Thanks, Hank.
Freaking Hank, dude.
I just want to point out that Broncos coaching staff is already back at Dove Valley. Like, they blew out of there, and they're getting ready for this Chiefs game on Thursday because the schedule makers are the meanest people on earth.
Oh, it's a Thursday?
They actually thought, I think what they thought is that the Broncos would probably be like 4-1 right now, and then they could like handle a Thursday night loss to the Chiefs, and then 2 weeks later
Don't you
get a big win at home against the Chiefs. Now they look evil.
But don't you kind of prefer the quick turnaround? You get it out of your weekend, you can just get it out of your way, and you're like,
No, because
it's
I want
over.
them to,
I'm done with it. I don't
want
gotta
the
worry
streak
about
to
it.
end. 15 straight losses to the Chiefs here. I want it to end. I don't want to see it continue. Even if we are not doing well, as if I'm on the team, even if the Broncos are not doing well this year, I still need to see them beat the Chiefs at some point. I think we can all agree on that.
I think I'm too broken. I just kind of wanted to
I
get it
think
out
we
of the
should
way.
get-
Thursday should be perfect. Just get it done, and we're good to go.
You're so I think we should get to the comments here.
Yeah. Let's get
And
there.
we have a lot of
Super
super chats. Okay, super chat, $5 from CM on a good day.
5CM on a good day says $5 from 5CM on a good day.
I love
Couldn't
that.
agree
Thanks,
anymore.
dude.
Greatest chat of all time. Thank you,
I don't know
5CM
what
on a
that
good day.
means. Super chat. Okay, from Vincent.
Oh,
Love the
do you know who
show.
this is? You don't know who this is.
Who do you think will be traded? Do we know this guy?
Yes, Vince is part of our Philly office. This is
Hi,
this
Vince.
is love coming from the All City Network. Thanks for the $10, Vince. Love the
Appreciate
show.
it.
Who do you think will be traded?
Jerry Judy
Cortland
to
Sutton.
Carolina.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Cortland Sutton. For
First?
me, I think it's going to be Cortland Sutton. I think at the end of the day, this team is going to try to salvage what they can from Jerry Jeudy. You could get the most
I
from
have
Jerry
thoughts.
Jeudy by picking up that fifth-year option. So another team doesn't really have to pay him right
Yeah.
away. But for me, it's got to be Cortland Sutton. You got to
Has
get
to
new blood in that wide receiver room.
Could it be both?
Could it be both? Yes, absolutely.
Why
That
not?
was a deep wide
Why
receiver
not?
room, and why not at this point, especially when you do have to overhaul this roster. You're a bad football team. It shows each and every week. So, yeah, it can definitely be
The
both.
reason why I'm asking is because I think of a guy, like when I think Jerry Jeudy, I also think of like Randy Gregory. People are saying, oh, he just wasn't a good fit. He wasn't a good fit for this team. When has Jerry Jeudy been a good fit for this team?
Yeah.
So why do
2
we have, if
games
we're going to
last
get
year.
rid of Randy Gregory, who I think the Broncos parted way with maybe a little too soon. I know the tape wasn't great, but 4 games healthy, was that a big enough sample size? We can talk about this forever. But if you're going to apply the same thought process mentality that you had it for Randy Gregory to anyone else, hey, if he's just not a good fit, he's not a good fit.
Doesn't make
Sayonara.
sense, does it?
To me, Jerry Jeudy should then not be on this roster because he's never been a good fit
Doesn't
for this
make
team.
sense.
Yeah, but what we saw last year, right? We saw under Jerry Bear, right? When Jerry took over for the last 2 games.
Rosberg.
Right?
Yes, drinking game if
Rosberg.
it was on your bingo sheet.
Yeah. At that point, it was known that, hey, Jerry Jeudy, you are wide receiver number 1.
Yeah,
and Jerry
he does
Jeudy
play
started
better
having
like
that
that.
success.
Yeah.
So that's why, for me, I would like to see Cortland move first. And let me see if we could recreate some of that Jerry Jeudy. Hey, you know that you're the first progression on a lot of these reads. We're trying to kind of force feed you the football, and now can you have that success? He was almost a 1,000-yard wide receiver last year, and sitting in that wide receiver 2 role under Nathaniel Hackett,
have
and
I know.
under an offense that wasn't averaging a lot of points. So I still think, well, I don't want to just kick the tires on a guy that can get open. I think Jerry Judy's problem is from the neck up.
Okay, if he can get open then, like, why isn't Russell Wilson finding him? Like, is he open today?
I think it's a combination
I
of
need to see
things.
the all-22
Yeah.
right now.
See, you got to see the all 22. But what? He did get 7 targets. He caught 6 of those today. I think Russell Wilson, pulled out the football, had 7 rushes. That's 7 missed opportunities that the offensive line, or was it 7 or 6?
That he caught?
No, Russell Wilson, the rushes. How many rushes?
He had 7.
He had 7 rush attempts, right?
Yeah.
One of those were a true call it up and run it. So that's 6 right there that I thought the offensive line was horrible on those 6.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And when you see Russ trying to escape the pocket, running one way or the other, well, where is Jerry Jeudy on those? Is he on the backside of the play or on the front side of the play? Because if on the backside, he's not even an option for Russell Wilson in a situation like that.
Okay.
I saw that 5CM on a good day said that his actual message got cut off. I don't know if you can find it. Russell back up. We want to make sure that everyone
we'd love to find that.
feels like they get their
anybody who
money's
super
worth.
chats. 5CM on a good day.
Suck for luck.
Trade for his rights. Colts become Super Bowl winners.
Yeah.
Okay.
That, he's saying, like, in the past,
he was
the Colts have followed. They sucked for luck. And what happened? They ended up going to the... Is that right?
Yeah.
Did the Colts win the Super Bowl with Andrew Luck?
No,
they didn't.
no.
This is
Luck
an
never won
erroneous
a-
message.
Andrew Luck, basically what happened was
Flash.
they sucked for luck,
They
which
did
was
suck for
great, but they never fixed the offensive line. And then Andrew Luck had to sit there and get beat up for a couple years, and he was just like, I don't want to play football
And then
anymore.
Luck unfortunately sucked because he didn't have an offensive line that could protect him. So it's weird how it all kind of works that way. Let's go back to our super chats because I could talk about Jerry Jeudy forever. This one's from Brandon. Can anyone have a reasonable excuse not to just have a fire sale and tank and rebuild?
No. It's already happening. It's already happening.
I think that needs to happen. And it needs to be public. I mean, we haven't really seen them do it, but
Dude, it's already happening. What do you think they let Randy Gregory go for? That's the start of the fire sale. It's a quiet fire. Nobody comes out there like, we're tanking. Fire sale. It's just like a slow...
You don't subscribe to the Nick Bonito and, Baron Brown and getting more healthy?
I mean, I subscribe to it, but they need as many good football players as... I think you want more good football players, not less.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you right now if you're trying to win football games to have draft picks.
I think Randy Gregory is a good football player, but I think, unfortunately, Randy Gregory might be a guy like, oh, Sean Payton, you want me to do this? Oh, you want me to do
possible.
that? Oh, he's asking me to do some things. And he might just be chatting a little bit too much to the locker room. He might not be the best guy for the locker room with a coach that's trying to change the culture, right?
For sure.
So a great football player when he's healthy, but every time Randy Gregory made a play this year for the Denver Broncos, I was terrified that he was going to get a personal foul because he's just revved up and he's juiced up. He's in guys' faces. Is he going to get a taunted penalty right now?
The Randy Gregory situation, I mean, he's not suited up for the 49ers here tonight. I wish he was, because I'd like to see what a change of scenery.
He's going
will
to
do for
ball
them.
out there.
He's going to.
Chris Kacerek, that defensive line coach, first of all, he's probably the best defensive line coach in the National Football League.
Yeah.
And the style of defense that they play, it's all about penetrating. Those guys need to jet up the field, take 2 steps, put the offensive lineman in the backfield, and now you react.
Yeah.
He's going to ball. He doesn't have a take out there. You just get after it, get in the backfield. That's all the thought process is.
And I don't know who else is obviously in that room and on that defense. I couldn't do a roster quiz with you really quick, but I think for the Denver Broncos with guys like Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper showing what they've shown, with Baron Browning coming back, you just might as well, no matter what Randy Gregory had done on the field, off the field, whatever, you just might as well buy into your young guys because they're the future of your team. Timing of it with a big contract that Randy Gregory had, I don't know if we love that, but it sends a big message early in the season, which I think everyone could be excited for if you're on that team. And if you're a young guy, it shows, hey, if I make plays and do big things, I'm going to get rewarded for it.
And if you're really going to if you're really tanking for Caleb Williams, right?
Oh, they're tanking.
Think about it like this. Russell Wilson, he's still under that old contract. In order to dump Russell Wilson next year, you're taking a massive cap hit. It's almost $100 million, if not $100 million. So why not get $15-16 million off your books with Randy Gregory as fast as possible so you could get the team better in other places as well?
Yep. Okay, super chat. Sorry.
Start to put these pieces together.
I'm start calling you Unk.
Please.
I am going to.
Make you feel great.
This one's from Matthew South. How do you even care at this point? Just dead inside to this team. only good part is DNVR.
That's right.
Oh, thanks, Matthew South.
And
We are
Jaleel
dead
McLaughlin.
inside.
That's
We like
because I'm
Jaleel.
on it too, though, right?
Let's go.
I'm not going to read this one out loud. Super chat,
He's a freaking
$2 from this
commenter
guy.
on the Nuggets.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's booty cheeks.
I'm like, I'm not reading. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not reading this one.
And the message was, booty cheeks. Way to go, Coochie Monster. You saved the day.
Unk's got it. Super chat for about fat Alice from Chop. The last 8 years led up to this, and it's time for a rebuild. Russ isn't the problem, but Caleb Williams will be a great way to restart, trade everyone. I'm punctuating. I think I'm adding punctuation where I'm supposed to. My thing with the Caleb Williams conversation and the fact that we're having it week 5 just makes me want to just.
Yeah. No, we're here, though.
Can one player save this team? When you have so many weaknesses in so many different areas, now so many on defense, which is just so painful to talk about. Like, how are we talking about, tank for Caleb Williams? Like, I don't think Caleb Williams is going to that's like thinking that Brock Osweiler, like any of the other quarterbacks that we've seen, it's going to fix the problem.
A rookie's not going to save this football team.
No.
Now, like a Peyton Man, like what people don't realize when Peyton came in was Broncos' defense was already set. They had a great defense.
Totally.
They had a young left tackle in Ryan Clady. They had me at right tackle going into my second year. A young offensive line where you didn't spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Demaryius Thomas on a first contract, right? Derek Decker on a first contract. Julius Thomas first contract. No Sean Marino first contract. You had some young, talented guys, and yet that still was a veteran guy. When you look at a young guy, first of all, Caleb Williams is not going to come in there and start barking orders from day one, and he's going to have to earn the respect of his teammates. So not one person can save a football team, but no rookie could come and change the culture of a football team.
But
Is
here's
what
the
I'm
thing
trying
is
to
that,
get to.
you don't fix this team. This team is not fixable. Like, this is tear it down to the studs, get the best possible start, the best possible player to build around. Like, you just have to completely throw out this era of the Broncos. Like, this team is not fixable. And then, like, if you're going to tear it down, which you have to, you can either be mired in this mess and just live in this bad house.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like, we're leaving. We're leaving.
Yeah.
We're building a new house. We're building a new house,
Watch
but
a
we're
bird.
going to get the best possible fireplace or something, like a showpiece in the middle of the house that you are proud to bring people around, that you're excited to look at. Like, it doesn't mean that the Broncos are suddenly good, but, I think the Jaguars are good now. Like, they went through a tank process. They got
Remember they had
Lawrence.
Urban Meyer as their head coach?
And you just,
What a
it's
good
like, it's a
time.
process, but like, you just have, like, we can't continue thinking that we're like 3 or 4 pieces away from making this a viable football team.
No,
Like,
I think you're
it's a
15 pieces
disaster. It's
away.
an unmitigated disaster. It's time to start completely over.
I think where the Broncos are at right now, honestly, and I'm going to use an NBA reference, right? I mean, I think the Broncos are where the Cleveland Cavaliers were at when they drafted
Yes.
LeBron James, #1 overall, and he was supposed to be the savior. And guess what? It was just this makeshift. We're going to bring in, not the best guys, but LeBron, we're expecting you to raise their talent level. And then what happened? LeBron said, no, see you later. I'm going to South Beach. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. And what happened with the Cavs? They
Taking my
sucked
talent.
for a couple years, but they were able to have some really good draft capital. Bring in Kyrie, bring in some of these other guys. And then LeBron comes back, and all of a sudden they're ready to go compete and win a world championship. So with the Broncos now, you tried it with Russ. It doesn't work. You do have to rip it down to the studs. It's going to suck for a couple years, but if you could get that cornerstone, that one guy, to the face of the organization, that's how everything that you do, every direction and decision that you make moving forward, it's all about how that guy gets better, and it just gets a little better each and every day. That's going to be the best philosophy for where this thing is at this point.
Yeah, to stick with your reference, I do just want to point out that if the Broncos were in a position to draft Caleb Williams, he would say, I'm taking my talents back to USC. I'm not
out.
going to Denver.
doesn't-
I'm not playing for the Broncos.
It's not like that. Like
He's not gone. He's not coming.
There
He's not
is-
coming to
there-
Denver.
I don't believe
There
that.
is no way.
There's not-
If
He
I'm
He can
Caleb
make more
Williams,
money at playing at USC thanks to NIL money
Oh,
than he could
I-
ever
oh,
play.
oh, absolutely.
He's gonna be the number one pick overall.
He's
It's gonna
going to
be
make
bad,
more
but-
money, but he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. And what's going to save him, AP?
That contract?
That Walton and Penner money, baby.
I'm saying.
Because
I
it
don't
doesn't
know.
matter. What you need, a Walmart endorsement. That's why Tom Brady used
He's
to take
gonna
all
make
those
more,
pay
of
cuts because he was
course.
making double that with Gillette. So guess what? Give him a couple Walmart contracts, and he'll be the highest paid quarterback in the National Football
Absolutely.
League
Okay, but
in
they
year
wouldn't be
one
able to
if you
pay-
need to move to.
Cap space. I'm just like, they don't,
No,
they
I
can't
mean-
spend the money.
Yeah,
They can't
no,
spend the money on him.
But,
cap,
yeah,
but
but
you
it's-
give them the endorsement.
it's
You give
subversive
them the
stuff,
Walmart
yeah.
endorsements. Because that's what
Yeah.
Tom Brady used to do with. That's why he was never the highest paid in New England.
exactly
He'd take
right.
less with
It's
the cap,
exactly what it's gonna
but then Kraft
This
would
guy's
go.
got
Here's
the-
a Gillette contract.
This guy's got the blue light contract. Are you kidding? He's still not coming. He's still not coming.
Anyone
Liam.
drafting number 1 overall is going to be a terrible team. The
Liam.
Broncos in that scenario, you're talking about the Panthers, you're talking about the Cardinals. I mean, you're telling me the Denver Broncos are not a more attractive. They're bad
Yeah.
now, but anybody's going to be terrible with the number 1 overall pick.
and
That's
it's
the
more
point.
important to go number 1 overall, right? You can't risk the injury. That's the thing,
That's
right?
true.
The unknown. You go back to school. What if you get hurt? What if what if there's somebody else that goes and has a great year and now you're not the number 1 overall pick? Can
Yeah.
you really make?
This is like the John Major effect.
Everybody doesn't get to say they were the number 1 overall pick.
You guys remember John Major coming out of Ponderosa High School in Parker? He was like Gatorade Player of the Year in Colorado here. He gets, he has all these like amazing offers to play everywhere. He wants to stay in state. He goes to CU, completely like blows out his knee like during the spring game. Never plays a single down of college football in his
Wow.
life. Like when I tell you this guy was like, I thought going to be like a generational inside linebacker in the NFL. Like he was
Never the
unbelievable.
same, wow.
This guy's talent. And to like watch this all unfold, it is. It's like the power of the unknown is scary. If I were Caleb Williams, yes, I would go wherever I was drafted. However, this guy seems to be fussy. So he's going to pick where he wants to go. Okay. Liam G, D-line, please make a shirt that says all the Broncos are bad. All of the Broncos.
Do you know this reference?
No.
They're the Nuggets during this magical run that we all just experienced.
Oh, so great.
Like loudly and proudly overall, like week by week, we would just be like, every nugget is good. All the nuggets are good. All the nuggets are good. And so then that became like a rallying cry. All the nuggets are good. There's a shirt that says all the nuggets are good.
They are all good.
And then transverse in direct opposition to that, all the Broncos are bad. All of them are bad, except for Jaleel McLaughlin, who I really like.
And Marvin Mims.
Marvin
I think,
Mims.
I think
Marvin
there was
Mims,
a couple
PS2,
moments.
right?
PS2 with the pick.
fantastic.
We didn't even talk
Yes.
about the game, what I called the
What should have been- oh
game-saving
my
pick.
God,
I
dude.
literally typed it in. I was like, Pat Surtain, classic play, game-saving interception. Like, catches the ball with his thighs. Guy looks like Pro Bowler yet again, and here we are. Okay, 5CME's back. He meant to say old Colt becomes Super Bowl winners. Oh, okay. You want us to get Andrew Luck to then become Super Bowl. Andrew Luck's too busy dressing like a colonel.
Yeah, I don't think Andrew Luck's on the Colin Kaepernick formula. I don't think Andrew
No.
Luck is even trying to come back and
No,
play football.
he's
I think
enjoying
he's
his
very
life.
content with where he's at with life.
I'd like to point out Zac Stevens just tweeted this a few minutes ago. Breece Hall said the Jets wanted to beat the Broncos for Nathaniel Hackett. Better coach what the better team won.
I mean,
I hate this. I'm
whatever.
glad it's
Let's
a short
shove
week.
it. It's
I'm
fine.
glad it's a short week. The Broncos absolutely have to move on. They're leaving for Kansas City on Wednesday. Like I said, I think the coaching staff is already back in the building preparing for that game, even though they probably did a little prep beforehand. But at the end of the day, a heartbreaking 10-point loss to the New York Jets that really, I think, a win could have saved their season, but a loss, I think it's all she wrote in a terrible, terrible way. Any other comments you hear that we absolutely have to get to? Are we going to head out? Okay, we got to go, friends. I just want to thank you all so much for being here. Orlando Franklin, My
Appreciate
guy, absolutely
you.
love you. D-Line,
Yeah, the
thanks
drunken
for
uncle.
showing
Let's
up.
go.
I can't believe how solid those high fives were. That was amazing. And thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We really appreciate you spending a painful Sunday evening with us. We hope that we will see you here tomorrow. Zac Stevens, I'm not sure if Todd Davis will be back, but the usual crew will be here. So we can't wait to see you guys then. Thanks so much.
I feel better.
We all silly like the mayor.